Great job, guys. What will we do without our band? We love it. Good morning, everyone. I'm Anne Sadovsky Sitzman, and I am your platform assistant today. So it is my honor to welcome you. We have a few people from out of town. I'm not going to make you stand up, and you don't have to say the Pledge of Allegiance. But would you please just raise your hand if you're visiting us from out of town? Out of town, right over there, right back there. Welcome, we're glad you're here. So with all of that, if you didn't get a guest card, please stop by the next desk and we will get you some of you would like to be on our Thursday e-news, and so we want to make sure that you get that. And I've already warned everybody that when you get an email from Anne Sadovsky, it's from Unity of Dallas too, and I try to make that very clear. So with all of that, we want to say welcome, and let's start with our opening statement. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe: God, the good, omnipotent.
Would you join us in song this morning with Open My Eyes? Hey, thank you.
Open my eyes that I may see glimpses of truth thou hast for me. Place in my hands the wonderful key that shall unclasp and set me free. Silently now I wait for thee. Ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my eyes, illumine me, Spirit divine. Open my ears that I may hear voices of truth thou sendest clear. And while the wave notes fall on my ear, everything false will disappear. Silently now I wait for thee. Ready, my God, thy will to see. Open my eyes, illumine me, Spirit divine.
Good morning. My name is Cecille Phillips, and I'm serving as your prayer chaplain this morning. And we want you to know that we have several places you can put your special prayer requests in. If you come in the front door to the right, there is a prayer chest. In the chapel, there is a prayer chest. And right here, there is a prayer chest. So please put your special requests in the prayer chest so that we can pray with them through the week, and then we send them to Silent Unity to be prayed with for 30 days. I would invite you to join me in prayer in a moment, but first I would like us to say okay, I'm supposed to pray first. All right, let's pray. Let's just take a moment and rest in that peace of God. Taking a deep breath and letting it out. Precious, loving Spirit, we thank you for always being there when we come to you. And we know that you are with us as we feel that divine energy flowing in our bodies and connect to your light. We know that our friends and members have placed their requests in our prayer chest, and we ask for your guidance and wisdom to show the way on each of these requests, for we know you are already in the situation, opening out the way for divine intervention for the highest and best good of all concerned. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it is, God. Amen. Okay, now let's say our daily word together. Guidance. I use divine guidance to find my way. Thank you.
Together. We are standing on holy ground, and I know there are angels all around. Let us praise God now, for we are standing in His presence on holy ground. We are standing on holy ground, and I know there are angels all around. Let us praise God now, for we are standing in His presence on holy ground. Holy ground.
So, are you able to hear me? Yes. Oh, good. So, welcome. Thank you for coming to today's service. My name is Brian Lottman, and namaste. Sometimes I wish that people would sing with their operatic voices with my mantras. That would be great. I'm going to sing a little bit, but I wanted to kind of introduce my topic and my kind of personal path with you and see where it goes. So I'm a wandering monk. Recently I went to the Himalayas to visit my teacher, and we had a spiritual retreat there. Some years ago, in 2017, I did a pilgrimage up into the very high Himalayas. And so I want to kind of connect this to the journey of Christ. So some people may not know this story, so I'm going to tell kind of what it said that happened to him. You remember those years that really no one knows what happened? You know, kind of the Bible kind of skips some age, like age 14 all the way, and then suddenly in his 20s, and then it starts talking about his journey. Well, it's said that he actually went to India and traveled and stayed there for 7 years. And he went high up in the Himalayas and did meditations and initiations and learned mantras and got connected to great Himalayan masters. So that's kind of what I do when I go up to the Himalayas. One time I traveled for 4 months to the Himalayas. That was back in 2017. And my task was, or one of my tasks, was to do what's called the Char Dham. Does anyone know the Char Dham? Very famous pilgrimage where you go to 4 different holy places high up in the Himalayas, the sources of 4 different holy rivers. And it's quite a journey, you know, you have to, well, nowadays you have to take a taxi. Used to be that you had to walk for days and days and days to get up to the high Himalayas where, you know, the snow is freezing cold. But I'd take a taxi part of the way, and there was this one particular river that I wanted to get to the source of, and there was a holy place called Kedarnath. Anyone heard of Kedarnath before? Kedarnath is the abode of Shiva. And Shiva, you know in the Bible how they call God as the Father? You know, in the Trinity, it's the Father, right? Shiva is also the Father. So if you want to bring 2 religions together, you'd find that they're talking about the same thing. The transcendent state, the transcendent God. One called the Father in Christianity, and one called Shiva in Hinduism. It's interesting, isn't it? They're both they have the same God. One's called Father, one's called Shiva. Why should there be much difference between these religions? It doesn't make any sense, you know, like we're pointing to the same thing. So I'm traveling to get to the abode of Shiva. That's my assignment. And this is a difficult task. Because as I got dropped off in the taxi and started walking up, and thousands of pilgrims want to go see the abode of Shiva in Kedarnath, in these high mountains. And so that night, I found this, call it like a big room that was filled with bright light. Some people were smoking in the corner, and I was sitting there, and suddenly these young guys crowded around me and said, "Oh, could you tell us about spirituality? You know, tell us about the Dharma, tell us about the spirituality." And I was going to talk to them about their own spiritual tradition, and they live in India. So I started speaking to them about, you know, Shiva and the nature of divinity, and, you know, I have all kinds of things I have to say about spirituality, and they loved it. And after a while, I said, "Gosh, I guess it's time to go to sleep." And then I said to everyone, because there was, you know, 30 people crowded in one room, and they're all sleeping on a hard floor, cold, and it's probably there in that little town at the bottom of Kedarnath. I would say, like, I did a gathering yesterday, it was about 39 degrees, really cold when I got out. Well, this is probably about 5 degrees up there. And so I was sleeping on the floor in a sleeping bag with all these people surrounded, and we turned off the lights, and I said to the guys, "You know, could you stop smoking?" I was really bold. So they said, okay, well, they respected me. So they stopped smoking, and then we all tried to sleep. Well, outside there's this blaring microphone going off, and all night long they're making announcements. I'm not sure what they're announcing, something about Kedarnath, something about God, I'm not sure. And then, so maybe I slept a total of like 15 minutes that night. And then woke up at about, so I went to sleep at about 2:30 a.m., got up at about 2:45 a.m., let's say. And got in line to get like the ticket. You have to get some sort of ticket to go up to the holy place at the top. So I waited in line, and there's this jostling, and I'm feeling crushed, at getting in line. And they interrogated me and with the guards and stuff to see, who are you? Where are you coming from? And what are you doing here? Kind of suspicious. And so I stayed in line, and then I got a ticket, and then started my journey at about 5 a.m. Well, it was about maybe 18 to 20 kilometers to get to the very top where Kedarnath temple was, this holy place. And Kedarnath is known for long, long ago, there were these two great yogis and saints that sat in meditation on that location, went into deep meditation, meditating on the divine, and they imprinted that place with holy energy, so that now thousands and thousands and thousands of people go to Kedarnath just to be in that energy that's been imprinted high up in the Himalayas. So here I am walking up, and there are all some of these people were on like donkeys, and they're like going up, and then there would be like 4 guys that would be holding a woman on it, like one of those, I don't know what you call them, like a little platform. All 4 of them would be trudging up, and the woman would be sitting on this platform. So God, I wish I was her. This is hard work. Plus, I had a heavy backpack on. I mean, really, I don't know how heavy it was, maybe 70 pounds or something like that. And so I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it 18 kilometers to the top to get to Shiva. This backpack's already getting heavy. It's only the first kilometer. So then I said, I went up to a little shopkeeper along the way, because they sell all kinds of like little spiritual gadgets. It's kind of funny. So I said, would you please hold my backpack while I go to the top, and then I'll get it back in? He says, as long as you give me like 300 rupees or something. Now 300 rupees at that time was about $5. So 300 rupees. And I said, sure, I'll do that. Little did I know, all I had left was about 60 rupees, which is equivalent to $1. So that's all I had left. And there's when you go up high into the Himalayas, there's no ATM where they don't have that. So I said, thank you. I let go of that burden, and I'm moving up, and I'm going up, and I'm trudging through. And see, since you have a lot of donkeys going up and down Kedarnath, like 18 kilometers, what do you think is on the ground along the way? So suffice to say, I tried to walk up as quick as I could. And along the way, it started sprinkling, started raining, and then it started snowing. And I had this little thin, what do you call one of those thin plastic things that you cover yourself with? Poncho. Yes, that's a poncho. So I had a poncho. Well, that poncho didn't do much good because there was a lot of splashing and a lot of rain. And so I was freezing cold along the way, and I got one meal that I bought with my 60 rupees, right? You can get a whole meal for 60 rupees. Could you imagine? Like, that's a deal. Anyway, so I get to the top, and I find out that there's a 4-kilometer line, which maybe it's about 3 miles or so, 3 miles of people who are waiting to get into this holy temple. And that means that was probably a 3 or 4 hour wait to get inside this holy place. And I looked at the line, and I said, "Dear Shiva, I'm really cold. And if I can't get to the front of the line to get into this temple right away, I'm turning back. I've come all the way from the United States here. This is a distant land." So I made that prayer. Shiva, I can't enter into your abode unless you give me some sign. Please help me. That was my prayer. So I was walking along, and I got kind of toward the front of the line, and a guard looked at me, one of the guards at the front, and he came over. He said, "Do you need some help?" Kind of in broken English, because they speak Hindi. And I said, "Gosh, I came all the way from the United States, and I'd like to get in, but I'm really cold." And he said, "Well, do you have 2,400 rupees?" I said, "Why do you ask?" He said, "Because if you have 2,400 rupees, you give it to me, I'll get you in at the very front." And I said, "Literally, I just spent pretty much my last rupee, or, I had virtually nothing left." He said, "Well, you're just going to have to go to the back of the line." So I started kind of, okay. And then he kind of followed me because he kind of felt some sympathy. And he goes and he touches my shoulder and he says, "I could help you. Come over here." And then he brought me back to the front of the line. He says, "Take off your shoes." And then he taps on the person who was the very front of the line. He says, "This gentleman is going to go ahead. He needs to get into the temple first." And so I bypassed 3 miles of line, or 4 miles of waiting. And I got in. And you can't imagine, it was pandemonium. I was because, here's a line, and we're really tight in the line, and everyone's kind of pushing to get inside this temple. It's a holy place. I thought you were supposed to meditate. And so we're jostling and being, and then suddenly I get thrown against the temple wall. Ouch. So I push myself back into the line. So I'm not going to give up. Shiva, I'm going to make it. No, Shiva's represented by a rock. Did you know that? A rock, they call it a Shiva lingam. This was a very natural Shiva lingam. It's a real stone. Usually they carve them, these beautiful black stones, and that's how they worship it. Right? That's Shiva. And he's known as an infinite column of light, pure light, pure infinity. This is Shiva. Well, so I got there, and the priest literally took my head and went, and almost slammed me against the rock and said, here's your darshan. Darshan is a holy meeting with God. Ouch! I don't know what to do with this temple. So then you're jostling, and Shiva, you know what Shiva rides, that particular god? You know what his steed is? It's a bull. It's a bull. So then the next stage was get to the bull. So I found the bull. Oh, here's the bull. And so he goes, oh, and here's some flowers. Now put some flowers on the bull. Now pour some water over the head of the bull. Okay, I do that. And I was like, okay, and the next station. Then I get to another Shiva lingam, and so on and so forth. And we're being pushed and jostled through the whole thing. And I mean, it was kind of dark too, so I just didn't know where I was, and I was kind of like, Shiva? Like this, stunned. Then finally I got out of the pandemonium, pushed myself out after we had made the stops. Okay, I said, I need to stop for a moment and actually tune in. And so I hid myself in a corner. I said, okay. And they people who are devoted to Shiva chant Om Namah Shivaya. So I'm sitting there, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And I'm trying to sit and soak in the energy of the temple. And there I find out, wow, this energy here is a vortex. This is powerful. This place is filled with the light of God. But I had to stop and hide myself in a corner in order to really go within. So a lot of people, when they go on a pilgrimage or something, it's like a big social event. Let's stop at a restaurant, have a martini. They didn't have martinis up there, but you know what I mean. It's like a big spiritual party or something. And that's nice, but I thought, I want to find Shiva within. So I have to stop, meditate on the energy, and there he is, arising. And that energy is just bringing me into this transcendental state. So then after 15 minutes of sitting in meditation, or standing in meditation in the corner of the temple, I walked out like this. Where am I? Who am I? Like this, just stunned. And then, okay, I said, okay, now it's time to get back. Oh yeah, my body. Oh yes, it's cold. It's cold. I can't stay up here for long. You know, there's just no way I was going to sit in one of the tents and stay overnight. My body, I was freezing. So I'm walking down quite quickly. And then I realized, gosh, my body's really hungry now. Oh, but I have no money. What do I do? So I stopped at a little so-called food stop and sat in one of the chairs and just looked at the food and watched people come and order their food and eat their food. And I just watched longingly. And then one guy, an Indian guy, looks at me and he says, "Are you all right? Do you need something?" I said, "Oh, I'm really hungry and I really have no money." He said, "Oh, I'd be happy to buy you a meal." So he gives 120 rupees and he buys a meal for me, and I sit down and I devour. Oh, thank you, Shiva. Thank you, Shiva. So that's how I got my meal. And then I started, I have renewed spirit. I have renewed vigor. I'm going to keep walking down and I'm going to make it back down to the bottom. Most people, they have trouble going up and down in one day because it's such a long distance. Could you imagine 18 kilometers, let's say 10, 11, 12, let's say 12, what is that, 12 miles? 10 to 12, yeah. You have to, if you have any distance questions, ask Marcus. So let's say 12 miles. I like to think it's 12 miles. Seems great. So 12 miles, and so 24 miles in a day of walking? Who does that? So I'm down the hill, and then, you know, it's still raining now, and then a donkey, so I'm like, I'm going to pass that donkey. Yeah, I'm going to pass the donkey. So I get to the side of this cliff and tried to zoom past the donkey, and the donkey goes poof, and just hits me like this and pushes me, and I'm falling off the cliff. And I said, oh, this must be my end. This must be my death. Shiva must want me to die here and now, right? And I'm looking down, and I'm ready to tumble. And then another guy on a donkey reaches over, and he grasps my coat and pulls me back onto the road. Thank you, you saved my life. I mean, that was grace, right? Magic that happened. And then I kept walking. And then I ended up back at that little store where they were holding my backpack, and I said, how am I going to do this? I don't have any money to give them. And they held my backpack so kindly. So I went up to them and I begged. I said, I literally have no money left. Could I still have my backpack? So they said, certainly, here you go, here's your backpack. And then I took my backpack and I started walking back down. And, you know, I get to the bottom, and remember the room I told you, like the big room where 20 to 30 people are packed in and there's all this noise? I said, I'm not sleeping there tonight. I'm going to keep walking. I'm not stopping in this place. And by that time it was night. So I'm walking down, and then I get to another town, which is like another 5 kilometers down. And I'm going from place to place, you know, guest home to guest home, knocking on the door. Please, can I have a room? No, get out. Please, could I have a room? No, get out. So one by one, and I don't know, after maybe 7 tries or something, someone finally said, sure, and this is how many rupees? And it was like 2,500 rupees. And in my mind, I'm thinking, God, that's a lot. In the United States, actually, it wouldn't be much. But in India, you're thinking, wow, that's a lot. Okay, I'll take it. So then I slept that night. And then the following night, I said, how am I going to get back down? I don't have any car, any motorcycle, nothing. And I talked to a guy in the street, and I said, could you help me get down? He said, sure. And he waves down this truck that's packed with Indians. He said, get in. So, you know, a dozen Indians packed into a truck, and they're all somewhere heading down the hill. I said, sure, I'll take it. So I jammed myself in, and we're all sort of like this in the truck, you know, packed like sardines. We're going down, and I don't even know where we're going down. And that ended up being my journey to Kedarnath. So what does this have to do with devotion to the supreme truth? By the way, I just found out that was my topic today for the talk. So when you want to find God, you will go to the ends of the earth, to the high Himalayas to find God. You will go far and wide in your search. India is full of very powerful holy places that you can go, and if you're sensitive to the vibration, you know what I'm speaking about. You can feel the presence there. So this was my journey, that I would go through extreme discomfort and cold and heat and mosquitoes and homelessness and things like that to find God, willing to go to the ends of the earth. And that is what I would call devotion. When you love your God so much that you will go out of your comfort zone to seek him or her out. And, you know, in the United States, a lot of people are in their comfort zones and maybe go to church once a Sunday or something like that. I say, every day, focus on finding your beloved and do not stop even until your last breath. And you know why? Because this is symbolizing the saving of your own soul from a continued, you know, they call it the wheel of samsara. Do you know that wheel? We're on it. We're riding that wheel. Over and over, birth, life, death, birth, life, death, over, and you've been everything. You've been dogs, you've been cats, you've been rats, and you've been cows. So you've played it all in many human lives. So at some point, are we going to say, I want to get off the wheel, find my truth, find what I call the supreme truth? And so that has been my quest and intensity for the last, since like 2006, it's been my life to find that inner truth. So sometimes I hold these talks just to encourage people. You know, what can you do every single day to find your truth? So I wanted to kind of conclude with a song. Now the music that I play, these are mantras, they're holy words. So they're infused with the energy. You can meditate on them, you can feel them, and you can use them every day to chant for yourself to get more in alignment with your inner truth. That's why I introduced them. So you can use them yourself. That's an important point. A practice that you can take home and chant. So like as an example, maybe you know this song. So you know the word, the Aramaic word for the kingdom of heaven is, does anyone remember that one? I taught it to some people. You remember? Malkuta Dishmaya. That is how Christ spoke about the kingdom of heaven. When he said that word, he spoke Malkuta Dishmaya. You can chant that also and invoke that presence within you, that understanding, that experience of your inner heaven. Malkuta Dishmaya. So you can sing with me if you want and see if you can feel the presence and energy of that mantra, that sound. It goes like this. Malkuta Dishmaya, 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 Malkuta Deshmaya Malkuta, 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 Deshmaya, 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 Deshmaya. Let's just take in 5 deep breaths, breathing in the light of that mantra, those words. Just imagine that you're sitting high, high in the Himalayas with the beautiful snow-capped peaks. And the first light of dawn is streaming over the tops of the mountains. And that light is entering into your own heart. This sunlight pouring into your heart. And your whole chest becomes illuminated with this holy light. And the light streams now into your forehead, into your third eye. And illumines the mind. Feel that sunlight pouring into your forehead. And now the dawning of the supreme truth within your own being. That all is one. Only one being, one God. Unity. So we now chant together the mantra Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, sending peace to all beings in this world. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace be unto all. And then just to make one announcement, as Reverend James has suggested I do. Please come to next Sunday's service and hear him speak about the cornucopia. It's a gathering of gratitude, so it's considered a very popular day to come to church, so please come again, and namaste.
To get to know a monk for so many reasons. I'm sure that you sailed through the sky and up the mountaintop with Brian today, and we thank you for that. This week I was in the foyer. There was a meeting here in the sanctuary, non-unity from the neighborhood, and a young man came in late. And I said, "May I help you?" And he said, "I'm looking for the Toastmasters group." And I said, "Well, we haven't had a Toastmasters group in about 5 years. You're late." So he said, "Well, tell me about your church. In a nutshell, tell me about unity." And I said, "Diverse, fascinating, full of love, no judgment. Does that resonate with you, Brian? Amen? Yeah. So we thank you for that very, very peaceful service today. I know Reverend James is watching us from having a day off at the ranch today. And so just a reminder that next Sunday is the Cornucopia Sunday. He told me that to put it on the announcements, which I will do right after I just talk to you about donating to Unity of Dallas. We have so many causes that we support, so many people in need, and to keep our building going and clean and lovely and making our little bitty payroll. Most of you are aware that we are about 95% volunteer operated. Thank you for that. But we appreciate your praying over your donations today and blessing it as you give. And so with all of that, let's say the offertory blessing. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Spirit.
Kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzels with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into spring. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, oh, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Thank you, that band, awesome. Love them.
Thank you, Brooke. This is the first time you've soloed for us, other than at Friday Night Fusion. And her little daughters sing with her there, right? So a few announcements, buckle up. Today, coffee and conversation is in Fellowship Hall, followed by choir practice at 12:30. And Bob, where is choir practice? In Fellowship Hall. All right, so you can coffee and join and listen for what's coming up with the band. Yeah. Divine Sisters has a table in the hallway, and they're going to be recruiting ladies, only ladies. It's a women's group, Divine Sisters, to come and join and be part of that group. How long has Divine Sisters been around? Long as I can remember, and that's a long time. So, ladies, you'll enjoy that. After the service today, Brian is doing a workshop, Awakening Christ Consciousness, from 1 to 2:30, and that will be in Myrtle Hall. Correct? You know Brian? He has no idea. We'll find him and take him there. But I love how you just sort of drift through life. Okay, so a mantras, meditation, and music, and a love offering of $20. So I think that's it. No, not quite. I have some notes here that aren't there. Oh, here it is. No Friday Night Fusion this week. So please always check the e-news and don't show up with nobody here, which happens once in a while. So please know it's not this Friday night. Divine Sisters will be meeting next Saturday, and Jennifer Markley, who is up in the box up high, hi Jen, is going to lead us through an active creative meditation and an experience creating a piece of inspiration as a touch point for the new year. So that's exciting. We want to join for that. And I think I want to make sure I want to talk about what's coming up. So these are save the date things. So next Sunday is the Holiday Bazaar, and we will have vendors set up in Fellowship Hall. We have jewelry, candles, olive oils and vinegars, and dog clothes, and wooden cars, and beautiful, beautiful. Denise is bringing some of her beautiful holiday arrangements. So please join us. It is a great time to start your holiday shopping. And we also will remind you to stop by the Book Nook because we have beautiful things in there. And don't forget that all of the books in the foyer are not the library. Those are for sale books. So you can stop by and find a book. And I know we always laugh and say it looks like the library, but those are for sale books. And there's a whole cabinet of Reverend James' favorite books. So you might want to take a look at those. So Thanksgiving is coming up. Wasn't it just Easter? And it's Thanksgiving already. So we are happy to say we are back with our annual pie auction and potluck on Thanksgiving Eve, and I'm so excited about that. So if you have not been here for those events, the pie auction is sort of a contest for me because you donate your pie, you can make it, you can buy it, it could be maybe, Stephen loves to make non-pie desserts to donate. We thank you for those, something else. And we bid on those, and the highest bidder gets to buy the pie to take home after the potluck. So I always remind you, when you donate your pie, Marketing 101, decorate it. You know, I mean, a little something here and there. And so I'm going to offer this year a prize for the pie that makes the most money for the evening. The donor, I'm going to have a little present for you. I hope you'll be a girl. It will be jewelry. But anyway, I'm sure you have somebody. Okay. So by the way, the money that comes in from the pie auction, we will be providing hams and turkeys and all that stuff for the potluck. So you can stop at the next desk. Please sign up. Tell us how many people will be coming with you and your family, and also what you will be bringing, because you'll be bringing two things: potluck, a dish, and then the pie. Mine wins almost every year. So I hope that makes you be a little bit more competitive now. So. All right, so we talked about cornucopia next Sunday, and there are volunteer opportunities at the next desk. We hope you will stop by and look at those. And with all of that, let there be peace on earth. Bob would like me to shut up.
With God, our Creator.
so as we go forth and embark upon a new week, we celebrate the presence, the Christ presence in each and every one of us. And together we all say, Amen.